Welcome, welcome. Hi, Nora. Amazing to see
Ah,
you. Hi. Nora is my client, my former client. We have done quite a bit of one-on-one work, Nora, haven't we, for a few months. So thank you so much for, offering to give this feedback, to share your experiences with other women. How I think women would be interested to know what your experiences were before we started working together. What was your love life? And yeah.
mm. So when we started working together, I was going through divorce and I
Mhm.
have 4 children and I'm entrepreneur as well and run my own business. So I would do a lot of personal development work and was reading the books and had coaches and all that was great. But I still recognized that that wasn't enough to support me in building a healthy relationship in the future. So whilst I wasn't ready when at that stage, I guess when we started working together, it started to come into my mind that maybe I would start dating again. I've been separated a couple of years, and I didn't want to do that on my own because I'd never had a healthy relationship, and so I wanted to
Mhm.
work through. I didn't know what I wanted to work through, but I knew I had work to do in order to move forward in the right way.
Mhm. And I'm just curious, it's just out of the blue question. What made you decide, like, oh gosh, that's the moment. I want to work on it now. Like, what was it like for you?
I think so. It wasn't. So I knew for a while. Okay, this. If I'm going to start dating again, I mean, the big thing was I never wanted to introduce an unhealthy relationship again to my children,
Mm,
and that was the big thing. I knew I had to
mm,
do the work, and then when I came across you, um, that's when I at the moment said, okay, well, this is the lady that's going to support me with that. And I've said before, because of your background in psychotherapy as well as the coaching work that you do, for me that was, and obviously, there was a great energy between us. So
yeah.
that was the moment for me that I said, okay, now is the time to do this.
Yeah, so maybe it was more reassuring, and now is the time to do it. And also, I think you had a healthy break between, your divorce and the coaching. Right? So, what you're saying, unhealthy relationships. Are you happy to say a little bit more about that? Like, what wasn't working? You don't have to go into any detail. You don't have to go, like into any story, but you can even pick up from, okay, when you were dating,
I think overall, always in all relationships that I had up until working with you, I didn't know how to ask for what I wanted.
Mm,
I didn't know how to communicate within a relationship properly because I never experienced it. So I just didn't know, and so therefore, all my relationships were left me not having my needs met.
mhm,
They just were really, really unhealthy,
mhm.
probably not good matches. I say probably, they definitely weren't good matches, but I couldn't even recognize that at the time.
Hmm. So when we started working together, what I'm just very curious about your internal process. What did you start realizing and then changing?
When we started working together, definitely what helped for me was moving through the process. So I started dating almost as soon as we started working together and being able to apply what I was learning into these
Yeah,
new
yeah.
relationships. So it's almost like I was practicing.
Was it scary, Nora? How was that for you?
Yeah.
Because I always say to my clients, we need to do the dating because you practice the skills. How was
Yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Now I would be, I just do the uncomfortable anyway, of course, but probably of all my journeys, with business and life and all of that, that was the most scary, the relationship part. For me, 100% because of the vulnerability. And you've never done it before, and then you're sat in front of this guy, and you're like, practicing your vulnerability and communication and asking for your needs when you're just not used to it. Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
And I remember a few times you get voice notes on me, and I was like, how do I even say this, or how do I do that? And it seems so. I mean, looking back, it seems so simple. The steps that I had to take were quite simple,
Yeah.
but absolutely in the moment, it is scary.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
when
is.
it's new, right? When you don't know how to navigate it and you're
Mm,
not used to it, I guess.
yeah, exactly.
So are you saying it's become like you have like when you've practiced those skills, communication and boundary setting, did you feel like after a while, after some months or weeks, that it was easier and
Yeah,
not so scary or not scary anymore?
yeah, it just becomes routine,
Yeah.
and actually much easier than being in a relationship where you avoid all of that,
Yeah.
because of course you're not living well at all. So yeah, it became just second nature
Yeah.
after.
Can you think of some examples? And if nothing comes up, if you can think of some examples as we go along, that would be amazing.
Well, all of that really. I mean, everything. If you think about a new relationship, and not even not a relationship, but even exploring the dating, the
Yeah.
first couple of dates, even say for example, you didn't feel great and you had planned to go on a date. I mean, the old Nora would have just put on the lipstick and forced herself out because we'd made plans. But I learned through that work that it doesn't serve anybody to not acknowledge and respect your own energy and your own needs.
Yeah.
But that's hard when you've never done that.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was another thing. And before we, started the conversation, you also mentioned something I think important, that at the beginning, like you couldn't relate to like or recognize what a healthy relationship is. And you
Mm.
said one of the things was that you couldn't filter out the red flags,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Could you speak to that? Like, once you've done the process or during the process, how was that experience for you? Like, screening basically men, right? And
Mm.
filtering out the guys who are not suitable or
Yeah.
toxic,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have known how to do that at all. Um,
Mm,
but when I learned through working with you how to how to see, things
mm,
things that weren't going right, or how to pick up on red flags, or
mm,
how to put small boundaries in place and see if they were respected. Um, by doing that work, it meant that I never, since working with you, fell into a bad relationship. And I've done, I've dated. I'm on the dating scene. And it's healthy now. It's I meet healthy men, and very very quickly. I mean, even on date one, I will see if, okay, this isn't a match, and I trust my, it's not even intuition, because
yay!
there are little red flags there. It's not even intuition, they're in front of you if you choose to see them.
Yeah.
And I follow it, and stick by it. And so I think it's self-trust as well.
Do you mean self-trust?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
trust myself.
totally.
Mm.
So I don't know if you want to speak to that, but what would be like the red flags, for example, that to you right now are obvious, like you're seeing him in front of you, it's date one, it's like I can recognize.
So maybe even before date one, if but maybe, if you're meeting in a neutral place, or something,
Mm,
um,
mm,
if the date can be quite demanding. For example, that you go closer to him, or where he's based, and it's not that I expect the man to come to me, but if it's quite demanding
yeah,
before you've even met.
yeah,
In the past, I would have said, well, I don't know him yet. I can't judge him. Whereas now I'm like, this doesn't feel good. Yeah, and that's it. No, just doesn't feel good. I think it's a real healthy and masculine thing for a man to actually meet you. And not that they should come all the way to me either, but that um, they consider,
Yeah.
consider your needs
Mhm.
and time. I think that's really,
That's
really
beautiful.
important to me.
Yeah, that's beautiful because it's a completely different concept. It's a huge shift when a woman starts to actually tune into her feelings
Mm,
and not maybe analyze so much, intellectually. Like
yeah.
this is right, this is fair. It's not about right and fair.
Mm,
It's it's more about like putting the focus on me in a healthy way. Does this actually feel good?
mm.
Okay, so what were the other, if something comes up, of course, what's were the other like changes you've noticed since you've been saying that now the men that show up are different?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
what way are they different? Like, what are you noticing?
I am noticing that the men that I meet now are in alignment with the intentions that I've put out. So in our work together, you write down all the things that you expect, in a healthy relationship, or what your needs are, because everyone's are different. So that was another thing. I thought, the logic brain, I thought, well, this is how a relationship is. I never considered for a moment, well, if that's how a relationship is, but I like more time or attention, for example, then am I too much? That's what I used to think. But
Mm,
actually, by going through the process of, well, my needs are important, it's not about what's too much or too little, and becoming really honest about what I wanted in a relationship and sticking to that, even if, and I have had, dates in the past say that I'm too much, or not too much, but what was it? I remember one day the guy was I have a sense of humor, I think I do.
you do,
And
you do.
he said something actually that was quite hurtful, and I said, and I remember actually we were working together at the time, and I said to you, am I overreacting here, Agnieszka? Please be honest with me, because actually it was hurtful. And you said, we're all entitled to our feelings. Just tell him, that hurt me when you said that. So I did that, and he said, well, you have to learn to take a joke. And I said,
Mm,
okay. And then straight away I knew. Now, if I hadn't been working with you, I probably wouldn't have said that hurt me, because I would have been like, oh, that's a bit, don't be uptight, Nora. But it did hurt me. And I did say, that hurt me. I wasn't looking for an apology. I was just letting him know that that didn't sit well with me. And he
yeah,
said, well, you have to learn to take a joke. And I said, well, and then it was very clear. I said, I can take a joke, but I
yeah,
just don't like the way that you spoke to me. And I just said, let's not meet again, because we were obviously not
amazing.
matched.
Yeah, yeah. And that came from a change because this seems like a little thing, but it's actually a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you do think, oh, well, you don't want to be too much. And especially women,
Mm. Oh,
we
yeah.
think that we are, that we
Oh,
should
yeah.
be quiet, or not be so outspoken, and stuff like this. Um, so that was a big eye opener for me, even that small interaction with that person, because then I realized, okay, my needs are my needs, and the right guy is going to respect my needs, whatever they are. And vice versa, if a guy said to me, he said something last night and it hurt me, or really hurt my feelings, I'd be like, oh my God, I apologize, I'll make sure that doesn't happen, because that's what you do.
This is amazing. So you know this is interesting also because when we look from this kind of umbrella perspective now, from the time perspective, the umbrella perspective, I believe that people, guys, they are a mirror of us or to us, to our consciousness, right? So what you were saying earlier, that situation, the guy responded like, okay, tough luck. You have to learn, that's my sense of humor. You have to learn to take a joke. So he was still like reflecting back the old Nora, like, okay, like
Yeah.
I'm too much. if someone has got too much, I'm too much in their energy, men will be saying things like that, like tough luck, right? Just take a joke. Like your feeling is not that important, right? And then you shifted it consciously by saying, that's, I recognize that doesn't feel good. And I understand that now you are actually attracting different type of a man, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think that there probably was a couple of tests after that. I think the universe
Yeah.
wanted to know,
Oh yeah.
was I really gonna,
Yes, yes.
but I picked up earlier. So
Yeah.
probably with that guy, I think it probably went on too long because you're learning, and that was the end of that. But then as I moved on, I recognized even earlier, if somebody, wasn't really taking notice of my feelings. And then I just didn't attract that person anymore. I think it's definitely about the energy that we give out as well. I knew what I wanted then. I knew that I didn't want any less than that. So probably in the beginning I knew what I wanted, but I was like, well, we all have to maybe like compromise.
Right.
We do question everything, and especially
Yes.
if you meet if you meet somebody that you're really attracted to,
Mm.
because that doesn't always happen if
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
dating and the chemistry, and then sticking by what you want then, rather than letting little things slide, because it's sort of easy to let things slide if you're
Oh
in
yes.
a
Oh
relationship.
yes. Totally.
Um, so I went through that as well, and I just wasn't available. When I said that, I was like, I'm not available for less than what I'm searching for.
Beautiful. That's a total change. When no one can
Yeah.
say that, that's like a complete change in position.
Mm.
And this position attracts quality men, which you're saying now are coming your way, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
do you know what I think women would find interesting if you could like maybe describe like, okay, what type of men, like how do the men that show up these days, how do they act, what do they do, like how that difference that you're noticing right now?
Mm. Um, I think a biggie is you attracting people that you have shared values with.
Okay.
So it's like this opposites
Okay.
attract sort of thing. Um, Somebody that, basically the stuff I wrote down on my list, all the men, all the men, but I mean the men that I do have dated, in the past 12 months have come under the category of what I wanted in a healthy relationship. They're honest, they have integrity, they have a real masculine energy. They want to show up for me. They want to be there for me. And I remember at the beginning of this, and I couldn't even say it out loud, Agnieszka, when we were working. Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted my man to say, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
What can I
Yeah.
do for you? And I thought, oh no, that's so like selfish
Too
or
much.
almost greedy, or too
Yes.
much, and it wouldn't be fair. That would
Yeah.
be, I wouldn't be a good person in that relationship. And what I learned is that's not true. And the right healthy
Mm.
masculine male is going to be there and saying, what can I do for you, Nora?
Yeah. Yeah, so you're actually hearing this right now from men?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm.
And are you noticing like those differences? Like, are they consistent? Like, because it's a normal phase when women start the process and start dating. Sometimes there is silence, sometimes there are a lot of guys, sometimes they dry out and they're like, oh my God, there's no one on the dating app and what's
Yeah,
going on, right?
yeah, yeah,
And you've been, I bet, through all these waves, right?
yeah.
Have you noticed that now they are like consistent and like they are there and
Yeah, so I did the whole dating apps thing, and actually now I don't even meet them on the dating apps. Like I would have dipped in and out, but it became less important to me to search. It just almost, it's like I know it's going to come. I know it's going to come. I'm not going to
Yes,
settle,
yes,
for less than what I want. So it no longer became. I'm not saying it was an issue when I was on the sites, but there was that. I think I almost did the sites to
to
practice.
practice. Yes,
I hope that
yes,
doesn't sound
yes,
like, mean, because in the moment I didn't know. Of course, I was looking to build a healthy relationship. That's why I
yeah,
was there, because I wanted to be in a relationship. But I think once I came through the process
yeah,
of, standing in my power and going, okay, now I feel confident, and now I can ask for, what I need in a relationship. I kind of just let go of the sights, and just
yeah,
lived my life, and it was enough. It really, really was enough.
yeah.
But then you just meet people organically.
Organically, because you have worked so much on your energy
Mm,
that you don't need that, dating site. You're just probably attracting people from your energy, right? Organically.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
amazing. I think some of my ladies would love to hear that because you've been through the whole process. What would
Yeah.
you say, Nora, to someone who is like, because I think I would have had the same doubts at the beginning, like, how do I know this is okay? This has helped her. This has helped her, but how how do I know it would help me? It's very well it's worked for her, but why would it work for me?
Mm. I think the outcome is, a lot of people, I guess, that might go working with you. They're like, okay, I want to be in a healthy relationship. So they go in and they think, okay, the outcome is to meet a man, if it's women that you're working with, and they go in and then they think, oh, well, I'm not in a healthy relationship now. 12 weeks later or something, this didn't work for me. But that's not what it's about, because it's actually about bringing yourself through the process to be energetically available to the right man, because we can't put a time frame on your journey, but that's what it's about. That is the outcome. So then
Yes.
therefore everyone gets the outcome.
Yeah. I love it. I love what you just said because I think, in today's day and age and society, there is this conditioning that we've been going through since kids that, we get an outcome, like at school, right? You're studying, there's a test, an outcome, and that's a mark, and you want to score a mark. I think a lot of us apply it to this process, or I
Mm.
can see some clients go into that direction, and then I have to bring awareness to that. Okay, maybe you've even done a program 5 months and you haven't like had the outcome. It doesn't mean that it's all lost and that you won't have an outcome. It's about that process.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is it. When I worked with you first, that was my outcome. I thought, okay, I mean, I know when I speak about it now,
Yeah,
there's much more clarity. Of course there is, because it's hindsight. But in the beginning, there was a lot of, I was confused, and will I,
yeah,
won't I, this. Um, and I thought my outcome was to be in a healthy relationship, just probably like other women that are watching this, considering working with you. It's only afterwards,
mm,
when I look back, and this is why I got in touch with you.
mm,
I got in touch with Agnieszka to do this interview, because it's when I look back and see the total transformation in my relationships, and not even just with
mm,
men. Actually, I learned boundaries in all areas of my life. I learned to
mm,
ask for my needs in all different areas of my life. It
yeah,
had an effect on, so much more. So I guess if someone's listening to this and considering working with you, what I would say is ask yourself if, if you want to bring yourself to the space where you are energetically available to attract the right man, and where you are able to navigate that healthily, because the time frame, we don't have the power over that,
yeah,
but it absolutely will happen, absolutely, because that's
yeah.
that's the law. but you have to be in the right energy in order to allow it to happen.
Oh, beautiful. I think you've just
That's
encapsulated something I couldn't verbalize for a long time.
mm,
And it's been coming to me, and I think now you've just said it. Because for you, it's taken, I think, a couple of years. It was a process. Okay, for some clients, it takes a few months, true. But we have our own timelines.
exactly.
Because I think we have to heal and or experience certain things on our own personal timeline.
Mm.
And that's not something you can say, okay, for everybody it's 5 months, or for everybody it's 12 months.
Mm.
Very individual, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's not a case of getting to the end of the program and going, oh, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's really acknowledging, okay, I'm in the right space. I'm in the right space. And
Yeah.
the learning never stops, really. We
I
can.
agree. I agree. The learning never stops. I would say the same, Nora. It's a
Mm.
process for me, myself as well. Like I learned so much from, my relationship with Jay that then I pass on to women. But it's not like, it's not like a finished product. That's it. I'm sorted now. Right? Amazing. Thank you so much for reaching out and for talking to me and for sharing your experiences with others. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.